Get ready to create the most stunning underworld aquascape as I scape this UNS 11-gallon cube, measuring 14 by 14, plenty space in the back for extra activities. We'll get into all the options of the tank in a little bit. Let's get going. What I love about this is that this tank can also do salt water if you desire to go that route. What's really nice is that with the extra room that the saltwater equipment would usually take in the back of the tank, we can do other things like CO2 injection, UV filtration, and keep all that out of here, especially things like heaters where we're taking up our valuable real estate inside the tank. Come along with me on this journey as I show you how you can have a tank like this, not be married into the constant having to buy filters and replacement parts where everything in here is going to be cleanable and sustainable, and we can have it from very simple to super advanced. It really just depends what you want to do. I'm going to start this tank build with this simple light that's cost effective and cheap and does a couple of different colors, which is great. But then after that, we're going to get into the higher capacity lights and we're going to show you how that goes. So for substrate in this build, we're using UNS's Contra soil. I like this because it isn't an enriched soil, but yet it does have the ability to hold nutrients. So we can use this soil and it will gather the nutrients. Now what I'm going to start with is their normal size, and we're then going to follow up with a finer one. So cut just the corner of the bag open, just so you have something to pour with that's kind of easy. And I want to get it in this back corner. And I want to build this up back here. That should be good for now. Keep the front of the glass clear because I want it to be really low when we fill it in. Let's push the substrate into the corners, try and build them up as high as we can. And get this rock in here in the tree, get an idea what I have for height. Now you see if we draw the tank into thirds and we look at where those intersecting lines are, that's what you're going to look at. So when we look at these crosshair points, right there is where we want the tree. And we fill this in with some more substrate, get this back right corner built up pretty high. Push the stone in there so we don't leave a low in the back side of it, and push all that other substrate into the corner. I'm going to add a rock over here to make a pathway. I'm going to take this small substrate and fill in these back corners, pouring it in there. I don't want a detritus trap or a poop trap in the back of the tank. I want to basically kind of fill it in and mix it in, bury the stone a little bit. Add this other stone here for looks and try and get an idea where the tree fits best. I really want to shoot for that point and I want a nice shadow in the front, but it's just not tall enough, so propping it with that stone, make it stable and really nice. A little more fill, and I'll have some nice shadows in the front of the tree down in here. So now we'll take the white sand and pour right up against the front of the glass, and we're going to push it back. I'm going to try and keep this as thin as possible. Thin to win, as they say in the front. And it's going to stratify and come forward. So try and keep this really thin in the front. And what I like to do is try and keep the sand built up over the other substrate so it's actually higher. So it's at a higher level. The other black doesn't want to go on top of it. And of course, it's going to mix over time, but I think it comes for a very natural look. I'm going to glue the tree right at the spot. I really like this Gorilla Glue, the gel type. It doesn't run, and really just find the points where it touches nicely. You can use cotton or tissue paper to build up a little spot and soak it in glue, but this is what I like to do. Pulverize some of the substrate, make it a good powder, and then I just dust it on the glue and it covers it up and you never see the glue spots. And it really doesn't need much. I got some substrate and I sorted it out, and I got some old leftover stones from my other tanks. And I like to add some texture in here. And what I do, and this is how I just personally do it, I kind of just throw it in there. And then I let it find its way into a natural spot. I may move it around as it goes on. And now we're ready for planting. Got some pink flamingos, some valve from my other tank. Got to wet it down, spray everything down here. I want to get it wet on the surfaces. And then the valve, I'm going to put this in the back corner here and get kind of tall. This is the way I like to open these potted plants. I push it out the bottom, and I have a bucket under there to catch the water that's falling. And split it open, exposing the roots. Be careful not to break the roots and hold them down as you pull it apart. But pretty much comes free. So I had a couple different pots of this pink flamingo. I had this Crypts and Bucephalandra, which I love, which I'm going to stick in here. A lot of this I had in my other tanks, and that's a beauty. So you start growing with these things and you have extras, you'll have a lot to spread around to your other builds as you do them. And just kind of filling in the dwarf baby tears. And I just take some this Christmas moss and I just kind of lace it over the tree, and it'll grow in over time. Moss grows really slow. I want the sticks to look. So there's a trick that I do. You fill it with paper towel, and I fill it with a pump. I'm not filling this slow. And I hold it in there and fill it until I get it to an upper level. Then I'll use a dinner mat to disperse it, but I don't disturb the substrate. And this way, when you take it out, it's not all cloudy and turned up. It didn't wreck the whole thing. Now we're ready to get into some fish, some new lights, get this thing cycled. So definitely check out the next video in the series on this tank.